Would you like to share a life-changing event in your life that changed you for better or worse?
Yeah. My life-changing experience. So, my parents have been pretty mentally and emotionally abusive ever since I can remember. Growing up as a kid, I'm the oldest boy. I have two younger sisters. Growing up, I think I took most of the heat from my parents. It's putting it nicely, but I kind of just soldiered through it, did what I could. My parents, like, without getting too much into it, it was just like it was a lot of worthlessness and a lot of like making us feel like we can't live without them. So I got through it, but as soon as I moved out of my parents' house, that energy was directed towards my two little sisters, and the youngest of my little sister, her name was Genevieve. I think she took it the roughest. Like one night, I guess it was just really bad. My mom and her got into it. I don't know what was said or the exact timeline of what exactly happened because I wasn't there, but it ended up with my sister locking herself in the bathroom and my mom like leaving the house because like leaving my little sister in the bathroom, and my other little sister was there, but she was busy doing homework at the time. My sister in the bathroom, she took a bottle of sleeping pills, and that's pretty much it. My other little sister saw Genevieve and called 911. And by the time we found out, like, she was already not breathing. It was just bad. So she had stopped breathing for long enough for no oxygen to get to her brain. And they tried like resuscitating her a couple of times using, and it just wasn't happening. So I took it really hard. I think we all did, but I don't know, out of everybody in the family, I think I just lost my mind the most. I just really like prided myself, I think, on being a good big brother and like trying to be there for her. And when I realized that not even she felt like she could come to me in that time, like maybe I wasn't as close with her as I thought. It just kind of like tore my world apart, like down to my core. And, like, started drinking a lot, and it got to the point where I was like, I just blew all of my money. I didn't care about fucking anything anymore. I just didn't want to be sober. So spent it all on booze. When I ran out of money for booze, I started drinking rubbing alcohol, which almost burnt a fucking hole in my stomach. So, just a tip for you: don't drink rubbing alcohol. Also leaves like a really bad smell in your stomach. So if you don't want to be smelling chemicals all the time, that's probably not the route to go down. After I basically tried to drown myself in alcohol, like, I just lost all sense of joy and like life. And I don't know, I just felt like the light was just gone, man. So I've always been a pretty depressed kind of person, pretty dark, but like it got to a point where, I know, shocker, right? It got to the point where I was like I didn't care. I wanted to kill myself too. And even after she did it, like I don't know, I was like, I had the thought like I was gonna go follow her. Like I wasn't gonna let her go like alone. And laid on a couple of train tracks, got tackled by security because they miraculously caught me on camera and got 5150'd. Spent time in a fucking psych ward after that, while realizing that I'm majorly depressed and like just need to stop drowning myself. I moved back in with my parents, with my mom and my stepdad. That wasn't a good idea either, because apparently I had a lot of really like deep-seated resentment against them, and it all just came out after that. I ended up fighting my dad, broke his nose. I'm not proud of this. It's just, you know, the fact of it. And I felt like I turned into a fucking demon. Like, I didn't feel like human anymore. I was so violent, I was so angry. And my dad ended up winning that fight because he's big, and he had his hands around my neck and was basically choking me, and I smiled in his face. I was like, do it, please do it. Like, I was begging him to kill me. And then he stopped. I guess he came to his senses too, and he got up and he left. My mom followed, and I yelled after them. I was like, if you walk out of this house and leave me here alone, then I'm burning this house down. And they left, and I did. I just got a bunch of lighter fluid and started dousing everything. So, as the fucking fire was going, I stole my dad's car and just fucking drove all night.
So what was going through your head at the point of you pulling out of the driveway in the stolen vehicle as the house was burning?
Well, when you put it that way, it sounds so awful. No, yeah, it is. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. I was just thinking I needed to survive, man. I had burnt my bridges, quite literally, and, you know, I was willing to leave it all behind me at that point. I didn't want anything to do with my family. I didn't want anything to do with anything that was in the past anymore. And I had a car, and it had gas in it, and I was just like, all right, this is my life. This is what I'm doing now. So that didn't last long. The very next day, I think I went to my grandmother's house, but she wasn't there. I was just gonna ask her, like, what do you think I should do? Like, should I turn myself in? Should I go back? Is it even worth going back? She wasn't home, so I was just driving around her city, basically. I went to my sister's gravesite and spent a little bit of time there. And I don't know, I guess somebody had picked up on my dad's car and reported it. Because I was stopped at a light. I remember this so vividly too. It was like something out of a fucking movie. I was stopped at a light and making a left turn on an intersection, and the lights were just not moving at all for either side. I was like, something's up, something's not right here. And sure enough, there's a cop car that pulls up to the intersection, just one. And I'm like, nah, that's it. They fucking got me. And my light turns green, I turn, and as soon as I like clear the intersection, just a fucking swarm of cars surround me. I'm just like, that's it, I'm fucked. And then there's a fucking chopper in the air. I was like, I'm not gonna run. I could have. My stepdad's car was a fucking Porsche Carrera, so it had a little bit of pickup in it. So it was an option, but I was like, I'm not gonna get more people in fucking danger and risk like anything else. So I just pulled over, and fucking guns drawn. Everybody's a cowboy, telling me to throw my keys out of the car. Yeah. And they drag me out, pin me down, and handcuff my ass. And they're like, yeah, we fucking got him. Good job, boys. Like, job well done. And throw my ass in jail for a year. Which is... Well, let me finish telling the story first, so then I'll give you my opinion on that. But so I make it through the system basically, and like I just do whatever they tell me to do, pass all their programs and everything, and like do a drug and alcohol counseling program. I was living out of sober living for 6 months as soon as I got out of jail, and then now I'm still reporting to the courts with like progress reports and everything, just to see like if I'm like doing well. So my case is still open. It's just like, depending on the judge and what I'm doing, they'll either expunge it or they'll give me a pretty reduced sentence. So I'm pretty lucky. Like, being a first time offender for that, like I could have had it a lot worse, but since I had a clean record beforehand, it was it was a pretty serious offense. It was serious. But they decided to show a little bit of leniency. So yeah, now I'm living on my own and starting to pick up the pieces, getting my life back to where it was beforehand. There's pieces that are still pretty broken, but at least I'm at a place now where I can look back on the past like 3 years of my life and kind of realize and gain perspective from it. Like yeah, that was the worst time in my life, but I'm definitely a stronger and better person because of it. Like, of course I want my sister back. Of course, like there's nothing that's gonna bring her back, and I know that. It's just like, now I carry her with me everywhere I go, and like she's the reason that I live now. Her and my other little sister, and as long as they're fighting, then I'm gonna fight too. So yeah, like an experience for sure, but somehow I twisted it into something a little bit positive, so there you go.